hundreds of times after saucers.
The Air Force investigates more than 12,000 sightings over 22 years. To this day, 700 remain unexplained. But to Roswell's true believers, the real purpose of Project Blue Book isn't to find UFOs. It's to debunk the very notion of them.
We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, erroneously identified friendly aircraft, meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations.
Everything that was reported could somehow be explained as the planet Venus, unidentified aircraft, satellites, or swamp gas. Anything they could come up with.
Project Blue Book is shelved in 1969 after the Air Force decides UFOs pose no threat to national security. But according to Jim Mars, the government didn't stop researching them.
There have been literally dozens of documents pried out of the CIA, out of the military, and others that show that behind the scenes there is an intense interest in what these things are, where they come from, and what they're up to.
Over the years, Roswell researchers say they've petitioned the government to release whatever information it has, with little success.
We went after the CIA. We want all your UFO stuff. We don't have any UFO stuff. You do too. You do not. We argue. We go to court. The judge says do a search. They come back. Oh, gee, we found 900 pages of UFO materials. They said they had none.
Even when documents are released, such as this affidavit from the National Security Agency, they're often highly censored.
Eventually, we got it. The only trouble is it's about 80% blacked out.
But why would the government hide what it knows about UFOs, and especially the Roswell incident? Friedman believes it's because the alien bodies are hidden away in secret government laboratories, and the wreckage is being studied for scientific advancements. For proof, he points to the revolutionary aircraft developed in the past 6 decades.
Here's our fastest manned craft, the Apollo Command Module, and it looks like a flying saucer.
Secret laboratories, engineering wonders. It seems unbelievable, unless you believe there really was an alien crash landing in Roswell. David Rudiak says he has proof of that. It's this 1947 photograph.
This is one of 7 photos known to have been taken in the office of General Roger Ramey.
The photograph is from the day the U.S. military identified the Roswell debris as nothing more than a weather balloon. In it, Ramey is kneeling beside the debris, clutching a piece of paper. Seems pretty unremarkable, until you look closer.
The real prize is what Ramey is holding in his hand right here. And you can see as you zoom in that there's writing on this paper.
Using a digital photo scanner to enlarge and enhance the document, Rudiak says he can make out the words that prove there was an alien spacecraft.
This was a brand new use of the word disk. The flying saucers or flying disks, and the terminology had been around for less than 2 weeks, and so the newspapers, for example, often enclose the word disk in quotes.
Then, in the same paragraph, a shocker.
The real key to this message is this word right here, which the initial group identified as being the word victims.
Rudiak deciphers more of the paragraph.
They had the victims, they were going to ship them, I believe, to the chief medical officer at Fort Worth.
And when it's all strung together, Rudiak believes the document is nothing short of a bombshell.
They'd found a disc, they'd found victims, they were shipping the victims out, and then they were going to cover it up.
So is it all really true? The debris, the victims, the cover-up. Is this the long-awaited proof that an alien spacecraft did crash outside Roswell? The U.S. government has looked at the same evidence and come to a much different conclusion. The notion of an alien spacecraft spawns TV shows, books, movies, even museums. And it turns the dead-end town of Roswell, New Mexico into a magnet for the truly bizarre. But as the 50th anniversary of the 1947 incident approaches, the debate over what really happened in Roswell intensifies. A growing grassroots movement presses the government for answers. What they get is evidence that the government has indeed been hiding a secret, one not even the Roswell advocates suspected. In 1993, Kent Jeffrey decides to join the Legion of Amateur Sleuths, hoping to find the truth about Roswell.
Before I knew it, I was in it up to my neck.
Jeffrey had spent a lot of time in the skies, a commercial airline pilot for 30 years, with a love of space and a fascination with UFOs. To him, Roswell is ground zero for proof that UFOs exist.
I figured that if this incident had really happened, it was worth pursuing. It would have been the story of the millennium.
Jeffrey has a special connection to Roswell. His father was an Air Force colonel who worked with the commander of Roswell's 509th Bomb Group. Jeffrey soon learns of witnesses who claim to have seen the strange wreckage and tell stories of alien bodies.
I was told by one of the Roswell authors and researchers about a number of secret witnesses who were afraid to come forward because of government reprisal. And that's when I figured, well, something needs to be done about this.
His first step? The Roswell Declaration, a worldwide petition signed by astronauts, scientists, and members of the military. 20,000 people in all, calling on the government to tell what it knows about Roswell. Jeffrey gets help from a New Mexico congressman who is also pressing for answers.
The information I want is for the government to make public all of its records about the Roswell incident, or if those records have been destroyed, explain who destroyed them and under what authority and when.
Under pressure, in 1994, the Air Force assigns Lieutenant Colonel Richard Weaver to head an inquiry. Weaver says he left no stone unturned and found a startling secret.
We went back through all the records starting at that time, looking for plausible explanations for what may have happened. We considered a nuclear accident, we considered an errant missile crash, we considered airplane crashes, and we considered, quite frankly, the possibility of an extraterrestrial event that the government just had not owned up to.
In his 1994 report, Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, Weaver did find something the government didn't want people to know about. Something he now believes is the truth about what happened that night in 1947. If there's a cover-up, the report says, it's not a cover-up of a flying saucer from outer space, but of a top-secret military project codenamed Mogul. Mogul is a huge apparatus of balloons and instruments spanning some 600 feet. It's designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests, one of the most pressing issues in those early days of the Cold War. The project is so secret, many of those who work on it don't even know its name.
It was about as highly classified as the Manhattan Project itself.
In 1947, Charles Moore is Project Mogul's engineer. A retired university professor today, Moore believes those reports of flying saucers and the strange otherworldly wreckage on Brazel's ranch are really describing his balloon number 4. It was launched in early June, some 50 miles downwind.
We launched several of these long trains of balloons. We were quite sure that the reports that were appearing in the paper were of debris from some of our flights. We were pretty sure it was highly classified, and sooner forgotten the better.
And that local newspaper story, where the rancher describes strange foil, tape, and sticks. Moore says it sounds a lot like Mogul's radar targets.
The reflective material was aluminum foil laminated onto paper and deployed on balls of sticks to make them lightweight so they